Not every compliment wins a woman over. Some do the exact opposite. There are 3 types of compliments that, instead of creating attraction, trigger a red flag in her mind, and when that happens, it's almost impossible to turn things around. The worst part? Most men use these compliments thinking they're doing great. You might think you're being charming, but before you know it, she's already lost interest, and you won't even understand why. In this video, I'm going to reveal the most dangerous compliment of all, the one that destroys your chances without you even realizing it. So stick with me until the end so you never make these mistakes again. This happened to a friend of mine recently. He met an amazing girl, they started talking, and feeling confident, he decided to give her a compliment. Little did he know that those words, spoken with the best intentions, would make her interest vanish instantly. The worst part? He didn't even realize his mistake at the time. The next day, her enthusiastic messages became cold and less frequent, until total silence. He had no idea what went wrong. "But I just told her she was beautiful," he vented, completely frustrated. And that's exactly the problem. A lot of guys think any compliment is a good thing, but the truth is, some words can come across as generic, over the top, or even make you seem less interesting in her eyes. His intention was great, but the result was the opposite. And the worst part? This happens all the time, and most men don't even notice. Have you ever experienced this? Had that feeling that your words, instead of bringing a woman closer, actually pushed her away? It's frustrating because it feels unfair. You were kind, sincere, and just wanted to make her feel good. But there's one crucial detail that changes everything. A small tweak in how you compliment her can completely shift the way she sees you. It can mean the difference between sparking her interest or being forgotten. The good news is that today, you're going to find out exactly which compliments seem harmless but actually make women lose interest. And get ready. The third mistake is so subtle that you've probably made it without even realizing it. And not just that, you'll understand why they have such a negative effect. But before I reveal what they are, let me show you the real impact of a wrong compliment, because once you understand this, you'll never make this mistake again. There's a huge difference between a compliment that builds attraction and one that completely kills any chance of connection. That seemingly harmless comment can actually put you in the same category as all the other guys who tried to impress her and failed. When a compliment sounds generic, predictable, or even a little desperate, it doesn't make her feel special. It makes her lose interest instantly. And the worst part, she often can't even explain why. She just feels like something's off. That's because, for us women, words aren't just words. They carry emotions, trigger feelings, and shape how we see a man. If a compliment comes across as insecure, overly flattering, or lacking authenticity, it creates an unconscious block. She might smile and say thank you, but deep down, she's already decided, this isn't the kind of guy I want. The problem isn't the words themselves, but the subtle message they send. And now comes the question that could change everything. How can you compliment a woman in a way that sparks genuine attraction without sounding forced or generic? Most men have never thought about this. They just go with what they think is right, without realizing they're sabotaging their chances. But there's a different way, and it's actually a bit counterintuitive. Before I reveal which compliments you should avoid at all costs, I want you to think about one specific thing. What makes a compliment irresistible to a woman? Once you understand this, you'll realize that compliments aren't just about choosing the right words, they're about attitude and perception. Most men assume that complimenting a woman always works, but the truth is, some compliments can have the opposite effect, making her lose interest instantly. These are the ones that, without you realizing it, put you in a lower position or make her see you as just another guy trying to win her over. And the most surprising part? This doesn't happen because the compliment was rude, but because it simply didn't make her feel anything special. The first classic mistake is the obvious and generic compliment. And believe me, this is one of the most common mistakes because it seems harmless at first glance. But the impact it has can be devastating. Saying, "Wow, you're so beautiful," might seem like a good idea, but to a woman, it sounds like something she's heard countless times. If you say something that any other guy would say, you become just another face in the crowd. This type of comment doesn't create an impact, doesn't spark curiosity, and worse, it doesn't make her feel connected to you. On the contrary, it gives the impression that you have nothing unique to offer. The second fatal mistake is going overboard with intensity before building a real connection. Phrases like, "I've never met anyone like you," or "You're perfect," might sound sweet, but when said by someone she barely knows, they come across as forced and unrealistic. The problem isn't the compliment itself, but the timing and the speed at which it's given. To a woman, hearing something that intense right away sets off an alarm. Why is he putting me on a pedestal without even knowing me? This creates an immediate block and makes her pull away. Now, if these first two types of compliments are already bad, the third one can be even worse. Because besides pushing her away, it can make you lose your chance completely without even knowing why. And the worst part? Many men make this mistake thinking they're being seductive, when in reality, they're doing the opposite. Not only does it come across as uninteresting, but it can also make her see you as shallow or even desperate. And the impact it has can kill any attraction in seconds. The third type of compliment that can ruin your chances with a woman is one that focuses solely on her physical appearance. Saying something like, "Wow, you have an amazing body," might seem bold, but most of the time, it comes across as shallow and predictable. This kind of comment makes her feel reduced to just a physical trait, ignoring everything that truly makes her interesting. To her, it sends the message that your interest is purely visual and that any other woman with a similar body would catch your attention just the same. Another common mistake is giving a compliment that unintentionally puts you in a lower position. Phrases like, "You're so amazing, I don't even know how someone like you is talking to me," might sound humble, but in reality, they show insecurity. Women want to connect with men who recognize their own value, not with someone who diminishes themselves around them. If you send the message that she's way out of your league, she might just start believing it, and her interest will disappear fast. On top of that, another subtle but equally dangerous mistake is giving a compliment that feels exaggerated or insincere. Telling her she has the most beautiful eyes in the world when she's clearly heard it 100 times before can come across as empty and rehearsed. Women have a sharp radar for detecting inauthenticity, and if a compliment seems like it was said just to impress, it completely loses its effect. The key isn't to avoid compliments, but to know how to give them in a way that feels genuine and impactful. So, how do you compliment a woman the right way without killing attraction? There's one crucial detail that separates the guys who naturally attract women from those who always get ignored. And the key to this lies in one small adjustment that you can start using today. There's a way to make your words truly impactful, spark her interest, and create a genuine connection. And the secret lies in how you turn a simple compliment into something memorable and irresistible. If generic compliments push women away, what actually makes them feel attraction? The answer is personalization. Instead of saying something that anyone could say, focus on a specific detail that shows you genuinely paid attention to her. Instead of just saying, "You're beautiful," try something like, "I really like the way you do your hair, it matches your energy." This makes her realize that you see her differently from most guys, and for a woman, that's incredibly powerful. Another effective way to compliment her is by valuing something beyond her looks. Women love being recognized for who they are, not just how they appear. If she mentions a project, a passion, or a talent, use that to your advantage. "I admire the way you talk about this. I can tell it's something important to you." This type of compliment creates an instant emotional connection because it touches on something she truly values. Also, the way you deliver a compliment makes all the difference. If your tone sounds like you're seeking approval, the effect will be the opposite of what you want. But if you compliment her in a calm, confident way, without expecting a reaction, it creates an air of mystery and naturally sparks her curiosity about you. The key is to make it clear that your interest doesn't depend on her reaction. You're just being genuine about what you noticed. Now that you understand how to compliment the right way, the question is, how do you know if it's actually working? There's a clear sign that reveals whether your words sparked attraction or if there's still something that needs adjusting. This detail can be crucial to ensuring your interactions always have the impact you want. The best way to tell if a compliment is working isn't by her immediate response, like a smile or a simple "thank you." The real sign that you got it right is what happens afterward. If she continues the conversation, asks questions, or shows interest in getting to know you more, it means your compliment sparked something positive. Women don't actively engage with men who don't intrigue them. If she makes an effort to keep the interaction going, you nailed it. Another clear indicator is when she subtly reciprocates. If, after a while, she compliments you back, even indirectly, it shows that your words made an impact. Women rarely do this just to be polite. If she says something like, "You're different from other guys," or "I really like your vibe," it means you stood out and created a special connection. On the other hand, if the conversation cools down, her responses get shorter, or she quickly changes the subject, that's a warning sign. It doesn't necessarily mean you failed completely, but it could indicate that your compliment didn't have the desired effect. Maybe it sounded exaggerated, predictable, or it just wasn't the right moment. The solution? Adjust your approach, pay attention to her body language, and tune into the flow of the interaction. Sometimes her silence reveals more than any words. And speaking of impact, there's one final detail that can completely change the way women perceive you. Something that most men don't understand, but when applied correctly, makes her want to be around you without even knowing why. If you want to master this secret, it's time to take the next step. Now that you understand the real impact of compliments, imagine being able to use them naturally, without overthinking what to say. The difference between an average guy and one who truly sparks desire is in the small details, the ones most men overlook. When you master this art, it's not just about the words you use, but about how you make her feel. And this is where one of the most powerful triggers of attraction comes into play: emotional unpredictability. Women are irresistibly drawn to men who make them feel something new, something different from what they're used to. When a guy knows how to balance confidence and mystery, predictability and surprise, he becomes addictive. A simple adjustment in how you communicate can make her want to be around you without even understanding why. If you want to learn how this works and discover a method that creates a deep emotional connection with a woman, without forcing anything, then I have something special to show you. There's a detail in female psychology that, when triggered the right way, makes her start thinking about you constantly. And the most interesting part? This happens naturally, without her even realizing she's being influenced. Now that you know which mistakes to avoid, imagine the impact of complimenting the right way. There's one key detail that turns an ordinary compliment into something irresistible, and that detail is in the link in the first pinned comment. But a warning, once you learn this, you'll never see attraction the same way again. However, this technique isn't for everyone. It's only for those who truly want to step up their game and learn what makes a woman feel genuine attraction. Now, the choice is yours. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel for more content like this.